Well, this is an exciting moment for me. I've been waiting for this plane for weeks. Um, little background, I own a lot of American-style Stanley planes, do a lot of woodworking, but I have never gotten into the world of Japanese planes, and I'm not taking this exactly seriously as if I am getting into the world of Japanese planes, but I saw an advertisement on eBay for this little plane for $3.59, brand new, shipped from Hong Kong, China, for free. So I figure I don't understand that business model, but they must somehow be able to make money, or gosh knows what they're trying to do with this. So I'm going to open this right here, right now, for the first time and see exactly what it is I bought. The customs label says it's called it a scarf. We will see. Alright, carefully packed in bubble wrap. Might be a little difficult to open. Now right off the bat, it's kind of smaller than I imagined it. They showed it in somebody's hand, but maybe they have smaller hands than I do over there. Oh, this is exciting. Oh, look at it. It's actually quite cute. Get it out of this bag. Oh, the iron's loose in there. Alright, got a first look at the iron. Looks it's rather coarsely ground. It's got some sort of goop on it, so I'll have to remove that. And here's the body. It's cute. Can say that about it. A little bit coarsely hacked wedge there to hold it in. Now, I've been looking at Japanese planes, and typically they have a iron that is wedged in two directions, wedged in its thickness and wedged in its width, so that alone goes down. They'll have a chip breaker sometimes, and this one doesn't have a chip breaker. It has a wedge that just crams the iron in there, so it's kind of crude, not exactly the real Japanese style. It's got a sticker here that was put on crooked, so they weren't really sweating the details at the factory, but what do you expect for $3.59? So I'm going to try to put this together. Here's something I've seen a lot of when people open up a plane for the first time on camera. Then they go about setting it up and whatnot. They never seem to try it out in the as received condition. So I'll put this together, see if I can adjust it to where I can get the iron in there, and we'll try to take some shavings off of board and see what it's like right out of the box, and then we'll see if we can in any way tune this thing up to work with wood. Okay, so I have this this rough board here. We'll try it on the rough part first. That should be the easiest thing. I've got the iron sticking out a little bit. See what happens. Huh. It actually had no trouble pulling off some of that rough stuff. Now, I'm pulling it because that's apparently the way you do these Japanese planes, is pull them. Now, as we're getting a little closer to hewing off more than just like that splintery stuff on the top, it is getting a lot harder to pull. But if that were my only task, to get the rough stuff off of a rough sawn board, it sort of does that. That's kind of impressive right out of the box. Let's see if I can. Yep, it has somehow stopped working at this point. I think this this whole wedge mechanism is not Not really the greatest. See if I can tap that a little bit more. Yeah, it just pops right back in. Oh Jesus. Yeah, it went way out. So this little mechanism has a lot to be desired. It's not something that I could really trust to hold it in. It's certainly not profiled in any way like a chip breaker. It's got a blunt edge there, but it doesn't really come all that close to the end of the wire, it doesn't come all that close to the end of the iron anyway, so I suppose it can't really act as a chip breaker no matter what. Alright, well, next thing we're going to do is sharpen the iron, see if we can make that razor sharp, see if that helps with maybe with all that resistance it's helping pop that iron out. And then we'll see if we can make this wedge any better and see if we can get good shavings off of this thing. Stay tuned. Well, Japanese plane irons are known for having a hollowed out back so you don't have to flatten the whole thing. They also have laminated irons that have a hard layer of steel on the back, on the leading edge, and then a tougher, more resilient steel, softer on the rest of it, and that makes it hold its edge longer but also not be terribly fragile. I don't see any evidence that this has anything like that. I think this is just a single piece of whatever steel they made it out of, very coarsely ground and not hollowed out back, not wedged in any way, so it's not at all like Japanese plane irons. Now, what do you expect for the price of a cup of coffee? I'm going to just see how flat this back is. To get this smooth is probably going to take a lot of time. It's a little diamond stone. Just going to rub this a couple of times and see what it hits. If it hits on anything. Alright, well, let's see here. Well, I made contact right along this edge and right there. Everything else not even hitting at all. And rather than trying to flatten this whole thing, probably what I'm going to do is just try to flatten that just to make the best of this. See if I can get anything to touch on if I just do it like this. Huh. Well, now it's touching along here, a big spot here, and a little bit in that corner. So, now luckily this iron is pretty small, so maybe this won't take a whole lot of time. Yeah, it's getting better. I'll spare you the details and flatten the back out and then join up with you again. Well, I flattened the back. It was kind of interesting, so I was wrong a little bit about the heat treating. It appears that there's a line right along here that must be a heat treated hard part of the iron, and the rest of it's a lot softer. It's quite soft. The metal came off kind of fast, and the back isn't flat as I thought. There is a hollow here. This area was kind of hollowed out, so I didn't have to take the metal off of that to flatten it. Otherwise, they had a super high spot here that shined up, and then those are high spots behind this line of hardness. Anyway, that took a good polish, a good shine to it, and I wasn't able to get all the way down. I kind of lost interest on getting all the way down to those corners, so they're still a little bit rougher than this area. The next thing to do is to hone the leading edge. So that's next. Alright, the iron's 25-degree bevel on it, and I've got it in my honing guide here. What I'm going to do is going to take a couple of swipes on the diamond blade, see what it hits. Alright. Huh. Well, I'm only hitting here along this edge, so I got to take the whole thing down, and I will do that off camera, and then we'll come back with a fully sharpened, honed iron, and then we'll see what we can do to tune it in the we'll tune up the wood part of the plane. Okay, the plane iron is sharpened, honed, and I kind of found that the corners rounded off quite a bit, and I didn't go through trying to get flat all the way down to that. Back sharp, you can see that line where the heat treating stops, and I don't see any sign that it was a lamination, so I don't see like where half of the leading edge is heat treated with the other half with a mild steel, so it's not like a true Japanese plane, but it does pass the paper test easily. Very sharp, very good. So anyway, that's as sharp as you can get it, and I'd say it sharpened up very well. I'd say it's not a bad piece of metal. Now I don't know if that heat treating is going to make it so brittle that it breaks apart, but I don't think this is going to be highly stressed anyway. So really the next thing to do is to see what we've got for the plane body itself. If it's anything like the iron, it's going to need a lot of preparation. So the first thing I'm going to do is just drag it across a scraping plane and see what hits. Huh. So right now it's only hitting there and there. It's kind of an odd place. And what you want with the Japanese planes is you want to be flat all the way around the mouth and then in the both ends. Now this one, I don't know how much that matters, that both ends thing, because this is really basically a block plane. It's not the kind of thing you're going to be smoothing stuff off with. So I'm going to work on that bottom and see what I can get as far as flatness, see if I can get a nice flat, tight area all the way around the mouth, and then we'll try to set this thing up and see how it planes now that everything is better. So back I got it pretty flat. It's I just flattened it the whole way across. I had a little accident back here where I grabbed in. I was using a number 5 plane to flatten it, and the blade somehow grabbed at the end and took a big hunk out. So really, it just kind of shortens the working the sole of the plane. I didn't want to work the whole thing down flat. Anyway, this is smooth, glassy smooth now. So the next thing is to flatten out this bed. I don't think you'll be able to see this at all, but when I sight down the bed of this thing, it's terrible. I mean, I can visually see it's bumpy and irregular down near the bottom where the support should be, and I don't know if you'll ever. I kind of doubt that I can get that in the camera, but I'm going to work on that. First thing I'm going to do is see if, because to me it looks like it's so rough that just using a chisel would be the first step. A lot of times you'd start with a scraper or a really fine file, but this thing is so bad. Yeah, I took a big hunk off of there. See about over here. And it's right down there where it matters too. You want the support for the blade to be as good as possible. Huh, okay, that visually looks pretty good now. And I'm going to just see if I got a kind of a fine file here. And I'm going to that should really help. Now if I look down there now, actually looks pretty flat. I might have gotten it. So as bad as that looked visually, it certainly was easy to work out. And I actually have to say that sharpening that plane iron was really easy too, because probably a lot of it because it was so small, and also the machining wasn't as bad as I guess I initially thought. So I didn't have to, it wasn't out of square or anything really radical that I had to take a whole lot of metal off. Alright, so now the big thing is getting this set up in such a way that this cheesy little wedge actually works. So the wedge gets tight way up here, and you can see there's still, I don't know if you can see, but the wedge ends here and the blade ends way down there. So it's a wedge, it's not a chip breaker by any stretch of the imagination. And you know what, I don't think it matters, but the mouth is also a little irregular there. You know, I really don't think that matters because the edges of this iron are rounded off so much. I'm just going to leave that alone. I've kind of given up on the idea of doing like this top-notch tuning job on this thing. Now I'm feeling like the wedge is only tight over here and not tight over here. How to do that? I'm going to run that down the plane here. Yeah, that took something off of there. Much better. Let's see what that's like now. Yeah, still rotates there on that's definitely the high spot. And that could be this bar here, like being out of, but I have to attack it where I can. So I'll do the bottom of this too. Oh yeah, it's catching there. Definitely catching on that side. Yeah, it's better. Let's see what that's like now. Ah, that's still a piece of crap. Let's see if I turn it over. Oh, that helped. Alright, that helped a lot. So I'm going to have to mark that so I don't have to go through that again. That is, I'll mark the bottom so I don't have to see that all the time. That's the bottom. Well, let's try this out on a piece of wood, shall we? I'm setting this thing up. Looks like sighting down it and see if I can get the iron even. Looks good. Looks like I got a little bit sticking out. So let's see how this works. This is the rough stuff. And remember, when it was brand new, it still worked on the rough stuff pretty well. A lot easier to pull now. I can really tell the difference. Starting to bite into a little bit more. You can see here, here, and here. It's catching there. Actually feels really nice. Very easy to pull. Now, so would a block plane. A regular Stanley block plane would also be nice and easy. Alright, so we've proven you can use it to knock the rough stuff off. Here's a section that's a little bit planed already and kind of rough still. Let's see what that's like. Actually doing very nicely. Very nicely. Easy to pull. See, the surface is looking really shiny. Now just holding on to this thing. Certainly would be better if I did this in a vise. Wow. Actually, that is smooth as glass. Very nice. And this was, I had already determined, was not possible with the way the thing came. Here's the shavings. So my little experiment, I'd say, was a success. $3.59. That's exactly what I paid for it. No more. For the shipping was included all the way from China. And then, of course, I spent, I guess, a couple of hours working on this stupid thing. And I think it was totally worth it. This was fun. And I guess it just goes to show you that you don't have to spend a lot of money to get something that you can use. I wouldn't say this is going to turn into a mainstay at my wood shop, but I guess it gives you hope. If you got $3.59 and you want to make something smooth, and then you have a whole bunch of sharpening stones and other planes to flatten the sole, and you want to put a couple hours of work into it, you're going to have a decent little thing. So, very cool. Thanks for joining me.